Good evening and welcome to my webinar. Like many type 2 diabetes sufferers, my diabetes was progressive. By late 2004, I was on lots of medication. I had kidney problems, my eyes were headed for laser surgery, and I was losing the feeling in my feet. So much, I had trouble walking up the stairs. In 2005, I was facing a dire prognosis. My endocrinologist said to me, "Mr. Faulkner, you're going to have to go on insulin." I said, "When?" And she said, "Now." That really brought it home to me. Everything came together in my head. My scores, all the warnings about kidney failure, blindness, heart attacks and strokes. Now I realized perhaps I may have only 5 years in good health. And that meant that I could count on maybe 5 more years of any semblance of health. Kidney failure, blindness or worse, that's what seemed to be facing me. I was aged 45 and simply stunned. Also frightened, angry and frustrated. I felt like a condemned man. Surely there must be something else I could do to preserve my health. I couldn't believe it when I sat and heard my test results. My HbA1c was down by nearly 50%. My triglycerides and cholesterol had dropped dramatically too. My GP said it was amazing. Then I went to my eye specialist to hear the results of my retinal photographs. He said, "Mr. Faulkner, I don't understand this, but you've reversed all the damage in one eye and 85% of the damage in the other eye. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it." I'd been diagnosed 9 years earlier with diabetes type 2 and been on an ever-growing list of medications since 2000. Before I made the simple lifestyle changes, I was on 2,000 milligrams of metformin, a rosiglitazone, statins, an ACE inhibitor ramipril to slow the damage to my kidneys. My eyesight had deteriorated. I had loss of feeling in my feet, and simple things like getting up the stairs was proving difficult. In essence, I was feeling rough, and at just 45. Then came the lightning bolt, the wake-up call, and I really got it loud and clear. My endocrinologist told me that I was going on insulin. I said, "When?" And she said, "Now." I was terrified, but also angry and frustrated. How could this be happening to me? And at just 45 years of age. I remembered all the warnings about amputations, kidney failure, cardiovascular disease. I thought I was looking at the last 5 years of my life in reasonable health. It seemed impossible I could get past 50 without at least one major complication. As I create this video for you now, I'm 50. Yesterday, in fact. And I've never been in better health. I even weigh less than I did when I was at the age of 17. Yes, that's right, I've lost pounds and pounds of weight as a positive side effect of learning to control my sugar levels. Diabetes is like a dead-end road, or as we call it in the UK, a cul-de-sac or no-through road. What I mean by this is that there is no way out. Put simply, the further you go down, the further you must return. The impacts to your health get greater and greater with the passing years. Certainly with type 2 it can be at a very slow rate, where it's almost imperceptible from one day to the next, even 1 month to the next. I've met people on this amazing journey who said that it was just like the aging process. It was just changes that were inevitable. We all know examples of people who've lived a much longer life in good health too. I myself had a great uncle who made 102. Yes, he got the telegram from the Queen, and he led a normal life right up to the end. Now, the way us diabetics feel, do we see ourselves making 100? I know I didn't. I felt that 50 would be my lot in reasonable health. And how about you? For those of you at risk but at present diabetes-free or even pre-diabetic, what are the risks of you developing diabetes? Globally, 285 million people have diabetes, 438 million expected by the year 2030. The current estimate of prevalence of type 1 diabetes in children in the UK is 1 per 700 to 1,000. This gives a total population of 25,000 under 25s with type 1 diabetes. In 2000, the first cases of diabetes type 2 in children were diagnosed in overweight girls aged 9 to 16 of Pakistani, Indian or Arabic origin. It was first reported in white adolescents in As many as 1,400 children may have type 2 diabetes in the UK. For adults in the UK, the estimate is 10% of people with diabetes have type 1 diabetes, 90% of people with diabetes have type 2. Most health experts agree that the UK is facing a huge increase in the number of people with diabetes. Since 1996, the number of people diagnosed with diabetes has increased from 1.4 million to 2.6 million. By 2025, it's estimated that over 4 million people will have diabetes. The figures are alarming and confirm that diabetes is one of the biggest health challenges facing the UK and the US today. So what are the risk factors for type 1 diabetes? Well, on average, if a mother has the condition, the risk of developing it is about 2%. If a father has the condition, the risk of developing it is about 8%. If both parents have the condition, the risk of developing it is up to about 30%. If a brother or sister develops the condition, the risk of developing it is 10%, rising to 15% for a non-identical twin and 40% for an identical twin. So what are the risk factors for developing type 2 diabetes? Well, on average, if either parent has the condition, the risk of developing it is 15%. If both parents have the condition, the risk of developing it is 75%. If a non-identical twin has the condition, the risk of developing it is 10%, while if an identical twin has the condition, the risk of developing it is 90%. Gestational diabetes affects up to 5% of all pregnancies. Women who are overweight or obese are at the higher risk of gestational diabetes. The lifetime risk of developing type 2 diabetes after gestational diabetes is about 30%. Eventually, diabetes leads to death. There is no doubt about that. You need to learn to control it, and fast. Finally, the day will come when your endocrinologist says it's time for insulin. My wife is a doctor, and she said for years that I should be on insulin. It's the only thing that will help you, she kept repeating. Well, I said, I'll think it over. And when I got home, my wife seemed relieved. Now she thought he will have to go on insulin, and told me that there's nothing I can do. Her medical training had convinced her, and my doctors too, that insulin was inevitable, as was a slow, steady decline. My son was 18 at the time I was prescribed insulin, and was already thinking about finding a lovely wife and making his future, a future that I thought I could never be part of. That was devastating. Have you seriously considered the prospect of not being around to see your grandchildren grow, not being able to help guide them? Well, I did that day. We believe anti-aging is much more than looking young. It's about being there as your grandchildren grow and develop through all the stages of life, graduation, marriage, having their first children. You want to be there, don't you? Because I know I do. So what have I done with my lifestyle? Well, you expected me to say that I rushed down the gym and do 3 nights a week and an hour or 2 every time and got completely worn out. In fact, I tried that early on before I actually did the program. I went with a friend of mine. We did 2 or 3 nights a week. We both felt we didn't build much muscle. And in fact, we both felt we didn't get much out of it at all. So what I've done with this program is I don't go out the house at all. And the good news is I do almost all my exercises on my bed, which is controversial. The whole routine lasts about 15 minutes once a day, and then I like to walk for general health support. What I'm trying to say is that this program is not onerous or even hard, but it works. There are just 7 basic commandments, and I'm going to run through them with you now. Commandment number 1, thou shalt develop a positive mindset and take charge. I'm asking you to go beyond Obama. He said famously, yes, we can. I need you to find the strength to say, yes, I will. It may be just a change of words, but it marks your step change to health. But there's no blind faith here. Skeptics are very welcome. Me, in fact, I'm very skeptic. I don't believe anything that I'm told or shown unless I've tested it for myself. You will test and test again to confirm for yourself that you're on the road home. Commandment number 2, thou shalt change your diet. Yes, the root of everything. What you put in, you'll get out, or what you reap, you sow. Hippocrates famously said, "Let food be our medicine and medicine be our food." And he was so right. And in 4000 BC. What happened after that? I think we let the pharmaceutical giants take over. But it's not about denial. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to eat more of the right choices. Commandment number 3, thou shalt cleanse. And I'm afraid I'm not talking about a good wash in the morning. Periodic deep cleansing is vital for any machine or system. Years of poor lifestyle take its toll on the most complex machine ever invented, your body. We're not talking about a green tea detox here, rather an intensive, structured approach to removing the build-up of unhealthy animal proteins. After an intensive program, it's vital to help the good flora in your gut be strong and able to do their job, so you will need to take some probiotics. Commandment number 4, thou shalt consume good fats that heal. Not all fat is bad, far from it. Some are vital to your health. These vital fats are difficult to find in our Western diets, and if you take them from the sea, the pollution there can also cause major problems. There is a pure, natural source that will achieve a number of obvious and welcome benefits, and within a few weeks. Commandment number 5, thou shalt supplement in a targeted way. Also missing in our Western diet is a myriad of vitamins and minerals. These are too numerous to mention here, but later you'll learn what you do need and what you don't need on your return journey to health. I'll show exactly what to take and why. And I take everything that I'm going to show you as well. Commandment number 6, thou shalt develop an alkalarian lifestyle. The alkalarian approach to diet offers a simple, basic understanding of what causes the body to become out of balance, which is where we're at. Through what has become the typical Western diet, largely based around meat, dairy, sugars, alcohol, saturated fats, and caffeine, millions of us have created a hostile, acidic environment within our bodies. We need to change. Commandment number 7, thou shalt exercise in a structured way. As we said earlier, there is no need for gym memberships or expensive workout DVDs, etc. There is no advantage in doing hours of cardiovascular or aerobic exercise. Just a few minutes a day of the right exercise is all you need. There are dire warnings for those who continue to ignore their diabetes or continue the downward trend with medications and finally insulin. The world is facing an explosion in diabetes cases. Eventually, diabetes leads to death. There is no doubt about that, and you need to learn to control it, and fast. In the US, 231,404 deaths in 2007 were attributed to diabetes. That's 1 every 3 minutes. In the world, it's estimated that 4 million die from diabetes every year. That's 1 every 8 seconds. The majority of this mortality by diabetes is brought on by the complications associated with this complex disease. Diabetes is the 5th most common cause of death in the world. Diabetes was the 7th leading cause of death listed on US death certificates in 2006. More than 1 in 10, 11.6% of deaths among 20 to 79-year-olds in England can be attributed to diabetes. Life expectancy is reduced on average by more than 20 years in people with type 1 diabetes, up to 10 years in people with type 2 diabetes. Overall, the risk of death among people with diabetes is about twice that of people without diabetes of a similar age. Your doctor will tell you that it's a process that everyone in your position has to follow. First, you try to control with diet, a diet that's outdated and clearly wrong. Then you start on the medication, and this is piled on in layers, but more of benefit to the big pharmaceutical companies than to you.